February 15th, 2025. New York City. We begin with a stunning development in one of the most politically charged legal battles of the year. Federal prosecutors have abruptly dropped all corruption charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. The Department of Justice, DOJ, made the announcement late last night, citing concerns over public safety and national security. They argued that a lengthy prosecution could interfere with Adams's ability to govern, especially as he prepares for a re-election campaign. But this decision has sparked immediate backlash. Several career prosecutors, including Manhattan U.S. Attorney Danielle Sassoon, resigned in protest. Sassoon, who led the case, described the move as breathtaking and dangerous precedent, one that could undermine trust in the justice system. She wasn't alone. Hagan Scotten, another lead prosecutor, quit as well, calling the DOJ's order clear abuse of prosecutorial power. Behind the scenes, the dismissal appears to be about more than just the law. There are growing accusations that this was a political trade-off. Sources inside the DOJ claim that Adams's recent cooperation with federal immigration enforcement, especially his decision to grant ICE access to Rikers Island, played a role in the case being dropped. In other words, some are asking, did Adams avoid prosecution in exchange for aligning himself with the Trump administration on immigration? The fallout has been swift. Calls for Adams' resignation are growing. New York's Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado and Senate Deputy Majority Leader Michael Gianaris have both urged Adams to step down immediately. Even Governor Kathy Hochul is under pressure to use her executive authority to remove him, though she's said she needs more time to weigh her options. Meanwhile, Mayor Adams remains defiant. He insists he's innocent, denies any political deal was made, and says he still plans to run for re-election. So how did we get here? To understand this explosive moment, we have to go back and break down the entire case. How it started, what prosecutors uncovered, and why this sudden reversal has left even legal experts in shock. This story didn't start overnight. The first signs of trouble emerged in late 2023 when federal investigators began quietly probing Adams's campaign finances. At the center of the inquiry, allegations that Adams accepted illegal foreign donations from Turkish nationals in exchange for political favors. Then came the November 2023 FBI raids. Federal agents executed search warrants at the homes of Adams's chief fundraiser, his international affairs advisor, and several campaign staffers. The situation escalated when the FBI seized Adams's personal phone and iPad. It was clear. The mayor himself was now a direct target of the probe. Over the next year, prosecutors dug deeper. By mid-2024, subpoenas revealed that investigators were looking into business-class flights, luxury hotel stays, and campaign donations that allegedly came from Turkish sources using American straw donors. Then, in September 2024, the DOJ made history. Mayor Eric Adams was formally indicted on bribery, wire fraud, and conspiracy charges. Prosecutors alleged that Adams received lavish gifts, first-class flights, expensive hotels, and campaign donations from Turkish nationals seeking influence in his administration. In exchange, the indictment claims Adams used his power to push through key favors for Turkey. One of the biggest examples, new Turkish consulate building in Manhattan. Prosecutors alleged that in 2021, Adams personally pressured New York City's fire department to approve the consulate's opening, even though the building had failed a fire safety inspection. The move allowed the Turkish government to open its flagship diplomatic center just in time for a visit from President Erdogan. That wasn't all. The indictment also claimed Adams agreed not to publicly acknowledge the Armenian genocide, a major point of contention for Turkey's government. The list of favors was long, and prosecutors insisted it was all part of a years-long pay-to-play scheme. When the charges were unsealed, the mayor refused to step down and called the case a political attack. He insisted he had never taken money from foreign donors, and that any favors he provided were simply part of his diplomatic role as an elected official. For months, the case seemed headed for trial. Then suddenly, everything changed. The game changer, Donald Trump's return to the White House in January 2025. With a new administration came new leadership at the Justice Department. And within weeks of Trump's inauguration, the DOJ signaled that the Adams case was under review. Behind closed doors, Federal officials began debating whether to drop the prosecution altogether. Then came the key moment. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emile Bove issued a formal directive on February 10th, 2025, ordering federal prosecutors to dismiss the case. His reasoning? The prosecution was allegedly politically motivated, an argument that closely echoed Trump's frequent claims about a weaponized justice system. But many within the DOJ weren't buying it. Danielle Sassoon refused to carry out the order and resigned on the spot. More prosecutors followed, calling the dismissal a quid pro quo to keep Adams in office in exchange for his cooperation on Trump's immigration agenda. By February 14th, the DOJ had filed the motion to dismiss. While a judge still has to approve it, the case against Adams is, for all practical purposes, over. This case has been a whirlwind of law, politics, and power. And while the legal battle may be paused, the political war is just beginning. The legal community is watching closely to see whether U.S. District Judge Dale Ho will approve the motion. Though judges typically grant dismissal requests, Ho could call a hearing to scrutinize the rationale behind the DOJ's decision, given the widespread resignations from federal prosecutors. Meanwhile, Adams' political future is uncertain. New York's political landscape is shifting, with figures like City Comptroller Brad Lander and public advocate Jumaun Williams positioning themselves for a potential mayoral bid. Even former Governor Andrew Cuomo has been floated as a possible candidate, seeing an opportunity in Adams' weakened state. Public reaction has been intense. Protests have erupted outside City Hall, with demonstrators accusing Adams of selling out to the Trump administration. On social media, hashtags like #AdamsGate and #WhoBoughtEric have trended, reflecting widespread skepticism over the DOJ's decision. Even Reverend Al Sharpton, a longtime ally, is now reconsidering his support for Adams, stating that the mayor must explain himself to Black community leaders. This case has been built on deep investigative journalism, sourced from legal filings, DOJ statements, and reporting by top-tier outlets. That includes Reuters and Politico, which first uncovered the campaign finance violations, ABC News and ABC 7 New York, which tracked the FBI raids and resignations, and legal analysis from the Jurist News Service, which provided insights into the Justice Department's internal turmoil. This story also incorporates firsthand details from federal court documents, resignation letters from key prosecutors, and statements from government officials. In the end, it's a story about how justice and politics collide. And in a city like New York, nothing stays buried for long. This is Cassidy AI reporting for TrendWave, a part of the Middle MAGA network.